Academy episode 7. I am joined as always by my two co-hosts CJ and Jaiden. How are we doing today? How are we feeling? CJ.
I'm feeling good. Excited to talk about a Pedro Pascal masterclass in The Last of Us episode 6. And I'm ready to talk about a lot of things in Ant-Man that happened in the movie that I watched.
To say the least.
Happened. Okay. Yeah. Jaiden, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm probably going to be like the mediator of the group here, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. You're going to be like the man in the middle of me and CJ just shitting on this film. Anyways, before we get into that, I'm your host today. I'm Laila, and before we talk about Ant-Man, we did get a bit of news this week, which was a very chaotic time to release some news because we were all on our way to California. So when we landed, we just had all these notifications from the Agents of Fandom chat. We were like, what is going on? I was on a 12-hour flight, and I saw all this shit when I got off. It was crazy. Let's start with the big news, kind of the biggest news. Spider-Man 4 has been low-key confirmed to be in the works. So John Watts, I hope he comes back to direct this one. But what do we think about Spider-Man 4? How do we think this is going to carry on from No Way Home? Do we think there's going to be a bit of, Peter trying to reintroduce himself to some people, like re-jog their memories a little bit after what happened? Jaiden, what do you think about Spider-Man 4?
I think it's really interesting. I didn't know that there would be another Spider-Man movie. I kind of just assumed that the next time we saw him would be like in a group type movie, like an Avengers movie or something like that, or maybe as like a supporting character in another solo film. But this is really cool. Honestly, I'm really excited. I know they're just starting to get pen to paper and get the story, strung out. So that's really exciting. I don't know what it could possibly be, only because nobody knows who Peter Parker is anymore, and he doesn't have Iron Man's guidance anymore. So it's like he's really going to have to set off on his own, like literally on his own. There's no real support for him aside from being Spider-Man, because I'm pretty sure they remember he's Spider-Man. But yeah, it's going to be real interesting.
CJ, what are you feeling about Spider-Man 4?
I'm excited for it. It'll be interesting to see who they decide to bring back, whether they bring back Zendaya or Jacob or not. It'll be intriguing to see, and also with the rumors that Spider-Man's like set to maybe potentially lead the Avengers in Kang Dynasty. It'd be really cool to see how, like Jaiden says, how Tom Holland's Peter Parker introduces himself back to society, if he chooses to do that, where he chooses to do that. We don't know if he's going to go to MIT, he's going to stay in New York, and I honestly don't know if Spider-Man 4 will even be the next time we see him, as we have an 18-episode Daredevil Born Again coming up, and I wouldn't be shocked if we see Spider-Man begin to show up there as well. So I'm curious to see where they go with him.
That's a good point. I would love to see him in Daredevil. I hadn't even thought about that. Another bit of news we got was Moon Knight has been confirmed to have a future in the MCU. Obviously, we kind of assumed that, but we don't know where we're going to see him next. But I just need Oscar Isaac back on my screen as soon as possible, please and thank you. Another piece of news we got is that Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross is going to be president in the new Thunderbolts project. And kind of linking into that, we also learned that Bucky Barnes is going to be the leader of the Thunderbolts team. Now, this lineup for this team is incredible. We got Yelena, we got Red Guardian, Ghost, so many more people, Taskmaster, they're all in there. It's going to be great. What do we feel about Bucky leading them, and how do we think his relationship with Thunderbolt Ross is going to be in this project? Jaiden, what do you think about that?
I think it's interesting. First and foremost, I wonder if him being president is at all going to affect the potential of seeing him as like Red Hulk, because that would be a pretty interesting thing to see, considering we don't really have like a raging, smashing Hulk now. So it would be nice to have something like that back again for something in the MCU. But with Bucky leading, that's pretty interesting, and I enjoy that actually, because it's almost like a testament to his struggles in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as well as just being kind of in ranks with Captain America and watching how he was always a leader and always guiding them to where they needed to go, and so that's going to be really cool to kind of see that now be in Bucky's hands and how he deals with leading a team. I'm sure it's going to be a major struggle at first, but I think he's got it.
I agree. And do we kind of think that this could lead into the new Captain America movie? Do we think that Harrison Ford could be president in that as well, because it's New World Order. There could be a lot of new things coming in, and obviously we saw Bucky and Sam together in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Do we think we could see Sam and Bucky back on screen together, maybe by the end of this, to link into the film? CJ, what do you think about that?
I definitely think we'll see Sam and Bucky together in Captain America. I think Captain America comes first, right?
Oh,
I believe
okay.
so.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like that's where we'll get our first introduction of Thunderbolt Ross, and maybe we'll start to see the relationship between Thunderbolt Ross and Bucky build there. Because obviously at the moment, I'm assuming that relationship isn't the best, because the last time we saw them interact was during Civil War, and obviously Bucky was on the wrong side of that argument or whatever, that their fight. So it'll be interesting to see their dynamic, but I would be shocked if Bucky and Sam are on screen together in New World Order. And I'm excited to see how Harrison Ford does the president. It's a role we haven't seen him in yet.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Harrison Ford come into the MCU. I feel like he's going to kill it. So
Absolutely.
we will wrap up our news section here, and we will go into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania.
Let him cook.
So a big group of us went to watch this together in California last week, which was a really fun time. There was a lot of mixed opinions in the group, a lot of little arguments going on, but it is what it is. So we'll go around first and give a rating out of 5 and our first initial spoiler-free thoughts before we go into spoiler talk. Jaiden, take it away.
So it was a movie. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty mid. There was some high moments that made me laugh, moments that kind of gave me chills. Kang obviously, but there was also moments that I was like, well, this is kind of dumb. You know what I mean? But I think overall, I would give it a very mid score for me.
Okay. CJ, what about you?
Okay. I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 5. I did not like this film. I wouldn't say I hated it, because at the end of the day, Marvel still has charm in it, and there were some funny moments, and there were some cool moments, and Jonathan Majors as Kang is phenomenal. But there were a lot of choices that were made in this film, and there were not very many good ones. So we'll get more into those later, but so many things had me just like, why? Why did we do this? So I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah, I'll give it, I'll give it like a 1.8 out of 5, because it's between a 1 and a 2. I don't want to be too mean and give it a 1. I don't want to be too nice and give it a 2. So we'll go for 1.8. There was some moments where I was genuinely laughing and having a good time, but then it was I'm laughing at it. I'm not laughing with it, And I don't think that's how it was supposed to be. I know we were sat together, and I just kept looking over at you guys. I was like, what is going on right now? Did they really just do that? I loved Kang, and obviously I love Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. He's a great character. But yeah, this was just not the film for me, I feel like. And I appreciate that a lot of people loved it. It's been weighed on a long time, and we got our introduction of Kang in Loki, but we got a bigger expansion on Kang. And Jonathan Majors is incredible. But, it just didn't hit for me, I feel like. And that's okay. So now we will go into a few points that we want to talk about, including some characters, our favorite moments, and we will talk about the post-credit scenes too. So this is your warning, spoilers ahead for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. If you haven't watched the film, don't listen to this next part of the podcast, because we are going all in on spoilers. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Mr. MODOK. He was there. We got Darren Cross back, which was cool. He was in the first Ant-Man movie. He was Yellow Jacket. We saw him get banished to the Quantum Realm. I think it was cool that they showed us where he went. It was great. But his character was an interesting one that has sparked a lot of debate in the fandom. CJ, I will start with you. What did you think of MODOK?
Okay. So I liked MODOK more than I thought I would. I still thought he was goofy. He looked ridiculous. But I'm pretty sure that was the intention. When you bring a character like MODOK in, it's not gonna... You can't really take it seriously just because of the way it looks. So I really liked it up until his death in the film, and the dick joke surrounding that. and I was just like, oh, that seemed like a really waste of almost like a character at that point. So I really liked what they were doing up with him up until that point. I thought he should have been honestly just stayed bad instead of turning into his like Avenger comics. Like comments were like not funny to me. I don't know. It wasn't the perfect ending, but I did enjoy Corey Stoll being back. It was fun to see him, and his interactions with Hank and Scott were fun.
Yeah, I agree. Jaiden, what did you think of MODOK?
I've really enjoyed MODOK. I don't know if it's my thing for stupid, corny humor or what, but I really enjoyed MODOK. Like more than like after a first watch, I was like, okay, he's funny. I don't know if I really needed him, but then I watched it a second time and I was like, damn, okay, I really like this, and I would probably see it again.
Nice. I feel like I do need to watch it a second time. I do need to just get it over with and watch it again. I feel like there could be get it over with. There could be a lot of things that like we missed and things maybe that were misunderstood. Maybe I don't know. I'll see it again and I'll get back to you on that. Another thing that we want to talk about is Kang. Obviously, Jonathan Majors, great character. I think his introduction was great. Where we first saw him with Janet, it was really cool to see that they had that interaction once Janet got stranded there. What did we think of Kang as a whole? Did he live up to your expectations? Do you think he could have done more? Jaiden, what did you think about Kang?
Not only is he a very, very good-looking man, but he has range. As an actor, he has so much range. Like, from moment to moment, like, his acting was so unpredictable. It just like, what's he gonna do next? What's he gonna do next? Like, it just drew me in every single time that he was on my screen. Like, it was just crazy, his ability as an actor. So I really enjoyed that, and it sucks because this movie was pretty mid, especially for a performance with that grand. So it kind of, I think just the story around him and the things that were going on didn't really put him in the proper spotlight. But again, every time he was on the screen, he demanded attention, and he got it every single time. So, but yeah, it just sucks that the story around it wasn't that great.
Yeah, and CJ, I feel like we have pretty similar thoughts on Kang, so I'll let you go into that.
So I love Jonathan Majors. He should be studied in all acting schools. Something about him, just every time he speaks, you just waiting for the next word. Him and Michelle Pfeiffer's chemistry and their interactions together were like insane. Maybe some of the best chemistry I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. The intensity he brought to every scene had me genuinely fearful at some points. Like, Jonathan Majors is so good. Now, for what they did to Kang in this movie, doesn't give me a lot of hope going forward, to be honest. If this is the Conqueror Kang, the one that is the one Kang that everyone thinks is going to be the big bad for Secret Wars and the one that ends it all in Kang Dynasty, it honestly wasn't a great first impression for me because they just seemed like they nerfed him so hard. Like, I'm sorry, he should not be losing to an ants. I don't care how smart they are or how advanced they are. They're ants at the end of the day. He's Kang. He's supposed to take on all the Avengers like by himself. So if he can't take on an army of ants, how am I supposed to believe that he can fight Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, and Thor all at the same time? So I'm just, maybe after this film he'll get like more powered up or whatever, or he'll learn to fight more, he'll learn from his mistakes. But after this movie, I just wish they gave him more to work with. And honestly, I wish, this is going to sound morbid, I wish killed more people in this movie too to make him seem like more of a threat.
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with that. Like, obviously, in Jonathan Majors, we trust, Like, his character's great, but this definitely was not the first kind of second introduction that I expected. I definitely thought he was going to kill more people. I thought one of the main members of the Ant family was going to die for sure, which is kind of disappointing, because it's like Marvel's built this up to be like, there's going to be a death, like, in every movie we kind of expect that someone's going to die, that's like our new expectation, and maybe that's our fault for getting too hyped up, but I definitely think Kang could have been more brutal, given us more hope for the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, to build him up to be this big bad that we're supposed to see him as. And now that might not be Kang the Conqueror, that might just be a weak-ass variant. We don't know what's going on, but I feel like it was not the best way to build him up, and I loved learning more about his character. I thought what he did was okay, it was good, I liked seeing him. He was definitely one of the stronger parts of this movie, but I need more. I need more action. I need more violence. I need more building him up to be this big bad.
Right.
So, unless anyone has anything else to say about Kang, we will move on to some other characters. So, we will talk about Cassie and Wasp and Ant-Man. So, in those three, I feel like two of them have sparked a lot of debate amongst viewers of the film. Cassie and Hope specifically. They recast Emma Thurman to Catherine Newton after Avengers Endgame. I know there was a lot of controversy surrounding that, but we won't get into that. What did you guys think of Catherine Newton as Cassie as a whole? Because online there is a lot of back and forth, you know. Some people saying her performance was great, some people saying it was okay, some people hating it, like, straight out. What did you guys think of Cassie in this film? CJ, I'll pass it to you first.
I thought Catherine Newton did okay with what she was given. Some of the facial expressions weren't always on point, but I think more of the issues with Cassie were more surrounding the writing, as the writing didn't really give her a lot to do other than run around and say dad. So I wish they would have given her more like emotional moments, because some of the emotional moments she got were like the one we mentioned earlier with MODOK, where they were turned into jokes. So I wish she got more to work with from the script, because she's great. She was great and freaky. I believe she could be good as Cassie. I think the writing needs to be better.
Yeah. Jaiden, what about you?
So, like, when I watched it the first time with our group, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really have an opinion on her because I guess I just wasn't as invested in her character as I was to, like, with other characters around her. So I guess I didn't really notice it. But in my second watch, when I paid attention to the things that people were having issues with, when I really sat and, like, paid attention, like, every detail, everything that they were saying about her character and specifics, I noticed it. It was a very, very, I don't know if it was the writing, I don't know if it was her performance, but something about what was going on in her situation just seemed very dry. And I know we've talked about this, you know, together. So it seemed very dry, pretty bland. And I don't know. I guess given how they went about recasting, I think they should have, I don't know, I would have expected a little more from that if it was something, you know, like that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely didn't mind Catherine Newton. I just feel like she didn't really have much to work with in her character. Cassie was just kind of there. It was really cool to see her in her suit and her and Scott being reunited and kind of explore that little time they missed together, you know? Like, Scott missed a lot of her life and she's changed, she's growing up, she's not this little girl anymore and he has to accept that. I think that was a really nice thing to explore in the film. I think she did good for what she had, definitely. But, you know, there's always controversy surrounding these roles and people are going to hate. So, you know, it is what it is. Another thing we'll talk about is Hope Van Dyne. Now, this movie was titled Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. But I feel like Wasp did not need to be there. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. She did not need to be there. She was just hovering, you know, like a wasp does. She was just chilling there. CJ, what did you think of Hope in this movie?
I think her role was greatly cut down after some things were said in some certain places, but overall, I think the Ant-Man and the Wasp in the title may, like, talk about the original Wasp, and that being Janet, because I agree with you. Hope did nothing but yell at her mom in this movie, and that was essentially what she did. She was just kind of there. No emotional arc. Even the one with her mom was kind of not really finished or touched upon after a certain point in the movie. So it definitely seemed like maybe something was cut down, and it'll be interesting to see what her role looks like in the future, like of the MCU, because I don't know if there's really a point in her being there. If she's just gonna.
She wants a solo movie, CJ.
First Marvel movie to make $2.
Yep. I like it. Jaiden, what did you think of Hope in this movie?
I don't know. I guess, especially given how little screen time she actually got, I paid less attention to her than I did to Cassie. And that's definitely saying something because I barely paid attention to Cassie. So yeah. I guess that's, you know, what I would say about that. But yeah, there was honestly no reason for her to be in the movie. Like, she did nothing. So
yeah. She was there, you know? She was there, you know?
Moral support.
Get your paycheck. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on to Scott Lang. one of the best parts of the film. We all love Paul Rudd. We all love Scott Lang. It was the end of his trilogy. We don't know if there's going to be more. Where do you think we're going to see Scott next? Do you think it'll be in the Avengers? And what did you think of him in this movie as a whole? Jaiden, what did you think?
I'm always loving Paul Rudd. It doesn't really matter what role he is, especially as Ant-Man. I think he just has this quirkiness and just like this thing about him, and he's always on par, always on the spot. So I really liked his performance, and he was a lot of fun. And he's been a lot of fun in the other two Ant-Man movies, so nothing new there. But I will say I'm not sure when we're going to see him next, because I feel like it's almost like with what was it, Infinity War, where Hulk had just got his ass whooped by Thanos, and he got sent down, and he was the one to warn everybody that, oh, something's coming. Thanos is coming. So I wonder if Ant-Man is going to be that person. Given the ending, which was kind of trash, to be honest, there was no real inclination that he was going to go say anything. Like, he was just pretending like all is well in the world and there was nothing going on, and he was just going to continue life like a normal person. So I don't know. Raises a lot of questions for sure.
Yeah, definitely. CJ, what did you think of Scott?
I thought the direction they went with him made sense in the beginning, but towards the end, his arrogance seemed kind of weird. Like, at the beginning, he was like his hubris. He was going to get caught, and with Kang and all this because of his arrogance, but he never really got that, which was weird. And going into the end of the film, yeah, you think going through such a traumatic experience with Kang and knowing how scary he is and that there's more of him coming, he would be running to New York to find Wong or to find Captain Marvel or Carol, or even going to like Rhodey or Sam or someone. But he's not. He's just chilling, which is weird. I thought that was a weird choice for his character. But other than that, this might be my favorite Paul Rudd performance as Scott. I thought he had some really cool moments, especially working opposite Jonathan Majors. And their fight scene at the end was so good. Like the boxing. Adonis Creed be scared. Just, it looked so good. But other than that, yeah, so Scott's character was kind of weird towards the end. But I liked him. His jokes hit for me this time, which were good.
Yeah, I feel like Scott's jokes always hit for me. Like, Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp are two of my favorite Marvel movies. Like, I know not a lot of people like the second one, but that's one of my favorites. Just the humor in them. And I was really worried that, the third one would kind of be too much, but I always love Scott Lang. He's one of my favorite Avengers. Paul Rudd is great. I definitely think the ending, like, where we left Scott was kind of strange. Like, him just, like, being, like, knowing something's wrong, but doing nothing about it. Like, yeah. I don't know where that's going to go. I'm intrigued to see where it goes, but, that's all we have for now, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see where we see him next. So unless you guys have anything... Oh, post-credit scenes. Let's talk about the post-credit scenes. So the mid-credit scene was what we're going to assume to be a council of Kangs. We saw a lot of different variants in this, some main ones specifically, where there's a lot of kind of talk about, like, oh, he's going to be the villain of this, he's going to be the villain of this. What did you guys think of that? Seeing all of those Kangs together, do we think we saw the main Kang in there? Do we think we had the main Kang in this movie? Where do you think we're going to see all these variants next? CJ, what do you think?
I think this post-credit scene sets up the next two phases of the MCU, to be honest. I think we'll see Immortus, Ramatut, and I don't remember what the third one was, the main three that we saw. But the rest of them, I think Kang Dynasty is going to be this group of Kangs. I don't think it'll be the Conqueror one that we potentially saw earlier in this movie. I think these group, they now are aware of the Avengers, and they're aware that they're about to step foot into the multiverse and really explore it. And they're scared of that, and it looks like they're going to plan an attack back. So I wouldn't be shocked to see, I know Ramatut's a very Fantastic Four villain in the comics, so maybe he's the villain of that movie. We thought we saw Immortus and Loki, but turns out it was just a completely new variant, the He Who Remains. So I'm excited to see where we see Immortus. And I think we'll see a lot of different Kangs in the next phase, whether they be main villains in movies or side characters or just making even like small cameos. It would be really interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see them just pop up everywhere. Like, put Jonathan Majors in every project from now on and just have him, like, even if he's just, like, standing in a corner, like, fighting someone, I don't care, I want to see it.
I was going to say, do Jonathan Majors like they did Jake Gyllenhaal at the beginning of Spider-Man Far From Home. Just have him, like, hiding on the
Yes.
streets, peeking at the
Yeah.
characters. Like, that would be so cool.
That would be so funny. Just him, like, oh, that's Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
There he is. Just in everything from now on. That's all I want to see now. So, and let's talk about the second post-credit scene. I'm pretty sure I said this. I'm pretty sure I predicted this. Loki and Mobius. They're there. We saw them. They're alive and well. They're there. We saw them. They were on the big screen. We got Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson back. I know everyone was so excited about that. That was probably my favorite part of the movie, which is very bad that it was a post-credit scene, but it was my favorite part. What did you guys feel seeing Loki and Mobius back? Does this make you even more hyped for Loki season 2? Jaiden, how was that?
It literally, because I really enjoyed Loki season 1. Like, it's like top 3 Disney Plus series for me. So getting any sort of direction towards a Loki season 2 is literally going to spark my interest so much more than it already was. They looked great. Loki looks great as per usual. Mobius looked great as per usual. And I'm pretty sure that the Kang variant that we saw was Victor Timely. So that's pretty interesting. That's going to be a lot of fun to break down. And it looked like it was pulled directly from a scene from season 2. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. CJ, how did you feel seeing Loki and Mobius back?
I'm excited to see them back. It looks like we found our Loki found our Mobius again, or he explained to the new Mobius everything that's going on. But it looks like we're getting Jonathan Majors in Loki season 2 as well, which is so exciting because I love Jonathan Majors. But as I think either Damon or TJ told me that Victor Timely in the comics is most of the time Kang the Conqueror in disguise. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe they found the Kang the Conqueror in a different universe or what. But I'm excited to see Loki season 2. I wasn't the biggest fan. I wasn't as high on Loki season 1 as everyone else was. But I'm excited to see Loki and Mobius back. And maybe excited to see Sylvie working in her McDonald's era.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to, seeing Sylvie just pour milkshakes. I mean, it's no secret that I wasn't the biggest fan of Loki season 1, but kind of bringing Jonathan Majors into this and seeing a whole new fight for Loki is going to be really cool. And I love Owen Wilson so much. And I hope that that's our Mobius that he's found and he's, back with his bestie and he can just go on his jet ski in peace at the end of this. I just need that to happen. So that will wrap up our Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania thoughts. If you have anything else you want to talk about with us about this movie, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. But for now, let's talk about The Last of Us episode 6. This was quite the episode. This is my favorite episode of the season. I was so excited for everyone to see this episode. Let's start with spoiler-free thoughts on this episode. CJ, what did you think?
I think Pedro Pascal is a great actor is what I think. This episode was
I've
so
been saying.
good.
Yeah,
We
right.
finally got to see Pedro. Like you said earlier, Laila, I don't think we've ever seen Pedro dive in and get as emotionally deep as we have seen him in this show. This episode was proof of that. His conversation with Tommy in the middle of this episode was so good. His interactions with Ellie continue to bring me so much joy. It was so good, and I honestly think this episode might win him an Emmy.
Hell yes. Hell yes. I loved this episode so much. Jaiden, what did you think?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, honestly, I feel like I say the same thing for every episode so far, but literally it's just, I love every part of this show. There's nothing about this show that has given me any sort of negative thought in my mind. Like, this series is literally perfect. And he proves it again in episode 6. Simple as that.
I don't know if you noticed, but every time someone praises The Last of Us, I just sit here and just grin, and I'm just like, yes, this is my show, this is my show. I'm so happy everyone is loving it as much as I am. So let's dive into some moments in the show. So this is your warning for spoilers for the episode 6 of The Last of Us. This episode had some really emotional moments and some funny moments. We see Joel and Ellie's relationship grow in a way, just more father-daughter era, I just need them to be happy forever, please. That's all I want for them. Like CJ said, there was some really emotional moments with Pedro. His talk with Gabriel Luna's Tommy in the middle of the episode where he explains that Ellie is immune and all he can think about is failing her. You know, it's all that's in his mind, so he needs Tommy to look after her for him, basically, and get her to the Fireflies so this can all be over and everyone can be fine. What was everyone's favorite moment of this episode? Because I think that was one of my favorites, just seeing, you know, the pure emotion in that scene and it being such a crucial thing for them to talk about. What was your favorite moment for this? Whether it was like the moment you enjoyed the most or one that you think is going to link to the story the most, that had you the most hooked. CJ, what was your favorite part?
I have two I want to talk about. My first was the conflict between Ellie and Joel. That scene where they were screaming at each other, and Ellie says, "I'm not like your daughter," and so good. They have insane chemistry, and that scene was just a staple of it. That scene had me very emotional. It was so good. And my second favorite scene wasn't really that good or that important, but really just caught me off guard. It was when the monkeys showed up, because I just started laughing so hard because it was so unexpected, and I just heard them ooh-ah-ahing in the background, and it just caught me so off guard. It was so good.
Not the ooh-ah-ah.
Yeah, I agree. That scene with Joel and Ellie was really great. It's cut almost directly from the game. You have no idea what loss is. Ellie saying, "I'm not her," talking about Sarah. And just just too good. Like, Pedro and Bella are just too good. Like, that casting choice, whoever put their names down needs an award for this. Please.
Yeah, right.
Jaiden, what was your favorite moment of the episode?
My favorite moment was, just to piggyback off what CJ was saying, the dialogue between Joel and Ellie in the bedroom when he was first letting her know, like, you're going with Tommy now. I think that was the best dialogue between the two of them of the whole series. That was, honestly, it made me cry. Like, I cry often during things, but I really cried for this. So it was emotional pain, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I really liked how afterwards he kind of really embraced just taking her in and really like taking care of her and protecting her and really almost seeming like potentially being a father figure for her, and we could see that actually like occurring in the episode, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, definitely. This was just such a good episode. Another thing that was really important, I feel like, was touching on Joel's kind of grief and perhaps some PTSD that he has from losing Sarah. When he leaves the farmhouse at the beginning, you can see he's kind of like struggling to breathe a bit, like he's just having a bit of a panic. And then again, when they're in Wyoming with Tommy, he sees someone that from behind looks like Sarah with her hair and her build and everything. It's just clear that he's just like longing to be with Sarah again, and he gets really emotional over it, and I feel like that's a really important thing for them to touch on. Because, it's hinted at, but him exploring the grief of his daughter is something that is so important to his character. And Ellie learning of Sarah this episode when Maria kind of tells her but didn't know she didn't already know. I feel like for Ellie, a lot of kind of like the pieces and the mystery of Joel are coming together for her now. I feel like she has a deeper understanding of why he is how he is. Maybe she'll perhaps understand why he's so protective over her now, because he's already lost someone who was perhaps in the same position as Ellie and meant as much to him as Ellie does, Like, it was just very emotional, and I think they executed it so well. Obviously, we got Gabriel Luna's Tommy back. This is the first time we have seen him since episode 1. This is now 20 years later. He looks divine. Gabriel Luna is a lovely, lovely man. His conversation with Joel in the bar, I feel like, was another very important moment when he says, just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it did for me, after he tells Joel that he is having a child. Obviously, that's very hard for Joel to comprehend, because his life did stop. That was it for him. That's all he cared about, his daughter and his family and keeping her safe. Do you think that scene was kind of as important as it was laid out to be? Do you think Joel should have been happy for Tommy? Or do you think it was very understandable that he was kind of undecided in this situation? CJ, what did you think of that dialogue between them?
I thought it was one of the most, again, that conversation with Joel and Ellie was so powerful. That's the most powerful conversation we've had. This is definitely number 2. This was another very powerful moment. I mean, again, diving into the Joel's backstory with even like the killing people in between, the loss of Sarah, and how we got to now, and when him and Tommy split up. It's just the dialogue in the show, the writing is so insane, and it grabs you in, and it just does not let you go. Another powerful moment, and Pedro crying in this scene got to me big time. You could tell that man is going through it, and obviously you can understand why he has mixed feelings about Tommy having a child, because he obviously lost his, and he has been focusing on basically getting revenge almost, or just ever since.
Jaiden, what did you think about this conversation between Joel and Tommy?
Well, it was another gut-wrenching conversation. Another one out of the millions that we've had in this series so far, and it hit every single mark, as per usual. It was heavy. I honestly, thinking on it, I don't think I would have reacted any other way. Just because given the things that he's gone through, the things that he's had to witness, the things that he's had to just push past and not, because it's at the end of the day, everybody's just trying to survive. And, the second you dwell on things like that, it will affect how you survive moving forward. So he had to kind of shove it down and just keep it going. And, it's unfortunate. He's suffered a lot of loss. So, but I don't know. I'm glad to see that he's coming around. Definitely.
Yeah. And we can obviously see that it was important to him, and, it was just really well executed, and I can't praise it enough. Linking on from we hear Joel wants to leave Ellie. He wants her to go with Tommy because he feels like Tommy's more experienced, he's more capable of protecting her, because he is just terrified of losing her and failing her. We hear him talk about that, and he gets very emotional over it. But obviously, at the end of the episode, he switches. He realizes, that's my girl, I gotta protect her. I'm gonna be the one to do this. And I think Ellie's dialogue where she says, I know you think I would be safer with someone else when the truth is I would just be more scared. Something like that she says really clicked with Joel, and he realized, that's it, I have to protect her. And we see him kind of reuniting with her and taking her to Colorado, where we see the monkeys, and they're at the university where they're trying to find the fireflies. However, they are introduced with a little bit of a dilemma, where they run into some hunters, I guess. And Joel has a little bit of a unfortunate incident. He gets stabbed, and it's kind of a brutal stabbing, and you can tell that he's actually very injured and hurt. And as they're riding off into the distance, he falls off the horse, and he is just laying on the ground, unconscious. And we're all like, oh no, what's gonna happen now? What do you guys think happens now? Where do we go from here? Joel is very clearly out of it for a little bit. Ellie's on her own now. She's got to fend for herself for a little bit. How do we think this is going to play out? CJ, what do you think about that?
Well, there's about a 0% chance that Joel Miller's dead. We can just start there. There's no way this is the end of his story. I am not convinced at all. But in terms of what this means for Ellie, I think this could lead to maybe an episode, or a little bit of an episode, where she's almost by herself, where she has to go find help for Joel maybe. I think that could lead to some growth, because she's never really been by herself. She was with Marlene and then Joel. So it'll be growth for her. And now that Joel taught her how to hunt, we think we might maybe even see her in action a little bit. So that'll be cool. But this end of this episode was a little bit shocking to me, honestly. And seeing Ellie's reaction to Joel being on the ground made me cry. She really did want him to wake up, and he was not doing it, and that was tough to watch. So I loved the ending. I thought it was very powerful.
Yeah. Jaiden, what did you think about the ending?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, again, not convinced that he's dead, but it was definitely very powerful, just considering how she truly felt. She's like, I can't do this without you. Like, I literally need you. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Like, this is bad. You need to wake up right now. That was pulled my heartstrings a little bit. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough seeing that. But it's kind of like we've been seeing Ellie slowly but surely take a little bit more initiative, being a little bit more of a leader in her own right. Like in the beginning of the episode where Joel had fallen asleep on watch and she was already up and at him, did tracked everybody, did a perimeter check kind of thing. And she was like, just like you showed me, just like you showed me. So I think that we're going to see a lot of that in action, like CJ was saying. So that's really cool too.
Yeah. And kind of in the gameplay, obviously, we kind of have an idea of what's coming after playing or watching the gameplay. I'm very excited to see the next steps play out. And in a little preview for the next episode, we see perhaps a dive into some of Ellie's past. We don't know much about her past. We know that she was with Pedro, she was with Marlene, and now she's with Joel. And we know that she has been bitten. We know that she was by herself when she was bitten. Or was she, And I'm really excited to learn about that in the next episode. What do you think we're going to see from Ellie's past? How do you think her life was in these past few years? CJ, what do you think?
I'm excited to dive into Ellie's past. I think there's a lot we don't know, and as she unlocks more of Joel's backstory, I think we're going to start to unlock a little bit more of hers. I think Joel will learn about it too. I still truly don't think Joel knows that much about her either. So it'll be interesting to see how they start to learn about each other and almost if that makes them grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jaiden, what do you think we're going to see from Ellie's past?
I think we're going to see, we're definitely probably going to get into how she either became immune or how she found out that she was immune, which is obviously a very pivotal point in her story and why everything is happening in the first place. So that's going to be really cool to unpack. And just like, I don't know, because she grew up, like she only knows post-apocalyptic world. She only knows of survival and trying to build communities of, disinfected people. So it's going to be interesting to see how that has like shaped her mind and shaped her personality, honestly. So
I agree. I'm very excited to dive into her past. Seeing Bella Ramsey in this role and just exploring Ellie. You know how much Bella loves Ellie as a character. They've said many times that Ellie is just one of their skins that they can just change into, and they feel that Ellie is a part of them. And I'm really excited to see Bella just explore this role even more and get into more depth in this character. And it's going to be great. I cannot wait for episode 7 of The Last of Us. Is there anything else you guys want to dive into from this episode that we haven't touched on already?
I want to give a shout out to Rutina Wesley, who played Maria in this episode. I thought she was so good. She slayed the house down, and her and Tommy might be the most attractive couple in The Last of Us world.
Very much agreed.
Yeah. And shout out to the dog from the beginning of the episode. We love you.
Yes, so in the game, the dog they have is called Buckley. So I'm just going to pretend that's Buckley. So slay that dog. I love him so much. Is there anything else we want to touch on before we wrap this up?
No, all good for me.
No? Well, episode 6 of The Last of Us was amazing. I think it definitely has the potential to be a lot of people's favourite episode of the season. And this will wrap up episode 7 of the Fandom Academy. Thank you for hanging out with us. Jaiden, where can the people find you?
You can find me on pretty much any socials at jaiden.cmduran. You can also find Agents of Fandom on TikTok at Agents of Fandom. So be sure to check out there because as the director of video content, we'll be getting some regular content out. So yeah, keep a lookout for that.
CJ, where can the people find you?
You can mainly find me on Twitter at cjdar_, and check out the Agents of Fandom website. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in the works, so I'm so excited about a lot of it. So make sure you stay updated.
Yes, definitely. And make sure you're following us on all of our socials. You can find me on all socials at FalconsNat. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content from all of our podcasts. You can find all of the shows on our network, Fandom Academy, Ticket to Reality, Listen 3000, and of course, Agents of Fandom, all on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Thank you again for hanging out with us, and we will be back next week to talk about The Last of Us Episode 7. Peace.
And Cocaine Bear.
And Cocaine Bear. Yes.
That's going to be so much fun.
Slay.